Bad news for All Elite Wrestling, as this Wednesday's edition of AEW Dynamite, the 6th anniversary special of the show, has delivered record low viewership and ratings for its Wednesday night time slot. All this and more in this news update. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's begin with the ratings and viewership information for Wednesday's edition of AEW Dynamite. And it's not good news for All Elite Wrestling, but it's also not good news for pro wrestling in general, as the way that viewership and ratings are being calculated is changing dramatically, and it could have major effects on all pro wrestling programs moving forward. Now, let's get into Dynamite, because Wednesday night's episode of AEW Dynamite averaged just 465,000 viewers on TBS. That's down 27.1% from the viewership total reported last week. It's the lowest audience the show has ever done on a Wednesday night, and the third lowest of all time. The previous lows were shows that aired on Tuesday last year and a Saturday in 2021. Now, Dynamite averaged a 0.09 rating in the 1849 demo. That's down 35.7% from last week's reported number, and is the lowest rating the show has done in that category in the show's history, regardless of day or time slot. The show still finished 6th on cable, though. Now, Dynamite aired head-to-head with Game 2 of the MLB's wildcard series between the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees on ESPN, which averaged 6.757 million viewers and a 1.56 rating in the 1849 demographic. Now, in terms of the quarter-hour ratings, these come courtesy of WrestleNomics. Shout out to them. I'm sure to subscribe to their Patreon service. As compared to the same week in 2024, the overall viewership for the show was down 31.6%, while the 1849 rating was down a whopping 55%. This year's numbers, of course, do not include people who watched on HBO Max. Now, it's important to note, as I mentioned, that this is the first week where Nielsen is using the Big Data Plus panel system of reporting TV ratings, which has resulted in numbers much lower than most wrestling shows had previously done. But still, it is not good news for All Elite Wrestling. What are your thoughts? Let me know, as always, in the comment section below. Now let's move over to last night's edition of WWE SmackDown. Seth Rollins thought he would get the last laugh on Cody Rhodes on SmackDown, but he was mistaken. Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker picked up a victory over Rhodes and Randy Orton in the main event of the show, thanks to some help from the World Heavyweight Champion. Rollins took out Orton with a stomp, leading to Reed hitting the tsunami for the victory. After the match, Rollins, Reed, Breakker, and Paul Heyman were exiting the ringside area when Rollins noticed that Rhodes was vulnerable in the middle of the ring. Heyman told Rollins to leave well enough alone, but Rollins got in the ring and went for a stomp on Cody. Rhodes moved and took Rollins out with a crossroads to close the show. Cody Rhodes, the undisputed WWE Champion, will face Seth Rollins, the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, for the WWE Crown Jewel Championship at WWE Crown Jewel on October 11th. Now, Melo Dope Miz seemingly are no more. On the October 3rd edition of SmackDown, Carmelo Hayes told The Miz that their partnership was done. The split comes 1 week after Hayes watched The Miz get pinned by the Street Profits in a number 1 contenders match for the WWE Tag Team titles. When The Miz confronted Hayes, watching him get pinned and not saving him, Hayes told him that he should have kicked out. Miz and Carmelo Hayes were paired together as Melo Don't Miz back in February. Now, it looked like one of them was going to be involved in the United States Championship Open Challenge. That didn't end up happening, but we did get a former NXT champion challenge Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn held his United States Championship Open Challenge once again on SmackDown, and he defeated a fellow former NXT champion. It initially looked like Zayn would be challenged once again by Carmelo Hayes, but when Hayes came out to issue the challenge after breaking up with his tag team partner The Miz backstage, it was Miz to take him out with a skull-crushing finale on the stage. Aleister Black then answered the challenge, waltzing out to take Hayes' place as officials surrounded the down star on the stage. The bell rang and Black dominated the first half of the match. When SmackDown came back from commercial, however, it was Zayn taking it to Black in the corner, raining down punches on the challenger. Zayn then hit Black on the outside with a springboard moonsault and followed it up with a Michinoku driver back in the ring, but Black kicked out. Black almost had Zayn when he rolled him up after he dodged a Blue Thunder bomb, but Zayn was able to capitalize and hit Black with a superplex. Black's current rival, Damian Priest, then appeared at ringside, distracting him, and Black ate a haluva kick, followed by the Blue Thunder bomb for Zayn to retain the title. Now, in terms of what this means for Aleister Black and Damian Priest moving forward, well, Damian Priest has put out the challenge for next week. Damian Priest laid down the challenge to Aleister Black to square off in a last man standing match during next week's WWE SmackDown. Priest and Black have been feuding for the past couple of months, having first face-off in a non-finish on August 1st. Prior to Black's attempt at the United States Championship against Sami Zayn on Friday, each man had last faced off one another in singles competition on September 5th, with Black getting the victory on that night. After Black had lost the title match on Friday, Priest appeared in a backstage interview segment with Kathy Kelly. She asked how far he was willing to take their feud, only for them to be interrupted by Pretty Deadly's Kit Wilson, continuing his exchanges with Priest as a figure of toxic masculinity. But Priest ensured Wilson, in a wheelchair from their last meeting, he would not be a distraction for too long after shoving him back down in his chair and disposing of him. After that, he resumed his interview with Kelly, answering that he would take things as far as they need to go before making the challenge to Black for their last man standing match. The bout was made official with the announcement ahead of the main event of SmackDown, so that's set to take place next week in Perth. We saw an NXT tag team appear last night on SmackDown. In the women's locker room on last week's SmackDown, WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair were confronted by the NXT team of Zarya, an NXT Women's North American Champion, and WWE Speed Women's Champion Sol Ruca. Now, this week, Zarya and Ruka said they wanted to shot the championship, and they popped up again this week talking to SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis about getting said title shot. However, they were interrupted by Alba Fire and Chelsea Green, who themselves lost the title match against Bliss and Flair a couple of weeks ago. Green offered Zaruka the chance to be in her secret service since the group is a member down with Piper Niven out injured. Zaruka firmly rejected the proposal and instead set up a match against Fire and Green for later on in the evening. The match marked Zarya's SmackDown debut, although not her main roster debut, as she and Ruka were in a full-weight women's tag team title match at Evolution back in July. Zaruka picked up the victory, with Ruka pinning Green after the Soul Snatcher, so they're seemingly on course for a future women's tag team title opportunity. Solo Sikoa, he said something's missing when it comes to his family. Solo Sikoa has been reintroducing the world to the MFTs over the past few weeks, highlighting the accomplishments of Tonga Loa, Tala Tonga, and JC Mateo. On Friday's WWE SmackDown, Sikoa said that something is missing from his family to be complete, and when he finds it, everyone will be on notice. Of course, Tama Tonga is a part of the MFTs, but has been sidelined since April with an injury. It is unknown when he is set to return. Several big matches have been confirmed for next week's episode of SmackDown, set to take place from Perth, Australia, before Crown Jewel. WWE announced that WWE Women's World Champion Stephanie Vaquer and WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton will team up to take on Kiana James and Julia next Friday on WWE SmackDown. Plus, Damian Priest and Aleister Black will look to settle their differences in a last man standing match. Furthermore, the WWE Tag Team Championships will be on the line as the Wyatt Six, Dexter Lumis and Joe Gacy face off against the Street Profits. Finally, Sami Zayn will once again defend his WWE United States Championship in an open challenge. We'll wait and see who answers that one next week in Australia. Going over to NXT and a bit of an update on former NXT champion Obafemi. Fans of WWE NXT are wondering what the future holds for former NXT champion Obafemi after he lost the title to Ricky Saints at No Mercy last Saturday. Many are hoping the ruler will be called up to the main roster following his impressive 260-day plus reign as NXT champion. According to Dave Meltzer in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, however, there don't appear to be plans for Femi on Raw or SmackDown just yet. Meltzer wrote that, as far as everyone knows, Femi isn't set for a call-up, and there are still plans for him in NXT going forward. Meltzer noted, however, that WWE will sometimes not tell anyone about call-ups, so those who should know are sometimes blindsided. He said that as far as anyone knows, Femi isn't going up, but that's not 100% certain. The ruler is not set to be involved in the NXT vs TNA Showdown special, at least in the current storyline. Femi first signed with WWE via its Next in Line program meant to develop collegiate athletes in December 2021. He wouldn't make his in-ring debut until November 2022 on NXT Level Up, but then formally debuted on NXT's roster in April 2023. Keeping with NXT, a bit of an update here on former NXT North American champion Tony D'Angelo. The Don of NXT, Tony D'Angelo, hasn't been seen on Tuesday night since just after his triple threat match victory over former D'Angelo family members Channing Stacks Lorenzo and Luca Crucifino back in July, but he's reportedly not on the shelf due to injury. Dave Meltzer confirmed in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter that D'Angelo isn't injured but asked WWE for some time off. D'Angelo defeated his former faction members on the July 15th episode of NXT and competed on a live show from Citrus Springs, Florida on the 25th of the month where he defeated Anthony Luke. On the July 29th edition of NXT, a video vignette played where D'Angelo was sat in his family restaurant, often the backdrop of his segments on NXT. He was approached by a shadowy figure before the show cut to black, implying the Don character had been killed off. Fans have been wondering about D'Angelo since his disappearance from television, pondering whether or not he'll be called up to the main roster. At one point, fans wondered if he could join Seth Rollins and The Vision on Raw. Meltzer only confirmed D'Angelo's time off, however, and not any plans for the Don or when he might return. A bit of an update here on Ridge Holland and his injury that he suffered while at a TNA wrestling taping. Ridge Holland is going to be on the shelf for a while following an injury he sustained during a TNA taping last weekend. Dave Meltzer confirmed in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter that Holland suffered a broken foot in his match against Moose on Saturday in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Holland confirmed on social media on Monday that he suffered a Liz Frank injury and would be undergoing surgery on Friday. Meltzer confirmed that the surgery in his update as well and said Holland will likely be out for 6 months or longer. The match was stopped when Holland suffered the injury and Moose even helped him to the back, something that was shared in a video on social media. The 8-second clip shows Holland unable to put weight on his foot while Moose and ringside officials help him to the back. And finally, the backstage reaction to Mustafa Ali's return on NXT this past Tuesday has been revealed. Former WWE superstar Mustafa Ali recently returned to the promotion under the TNA banner, where he cut a scathing promo during a recent episode of NXT. During the aforementioned promo, Ali referenced his run with WWE and all the shortcomings it had, especially never receiving a shot at the NXT North American Championship, but according to a report from Fightful Select, the promo was well received backstage. The report interestingly claimed that Ali's release was something that Shawn Michaels was adamantly against at the time, and that there were plans for Ali to become the NXT North American champion, to the point where Ali had special gear made for himself themed around the title. In the past, Michaels' reaction to Ali's WWE release was recorded, where the veteran revealed he found out about Ali's release right before the wrestler himself found out. Michaels also admitted at the time there were plans for Ali to face Dominic Mysterio for the North American Championship at an upcoming PLE, as well as the veteran expressing that he thought the world of Ali and that he would miss him. Despite being signed to TNA, Ali will have the shot at the North American Championship, as reigning champion Ethan Page accepted his challenge, taking a shot at Ali's original release from the promotion at the same time. At the end of the segment, both men clashed in a heated brawl before Page rolled out of the ring, leaving Ali standing tall at the end. The two men will officially compete for the title at the upcoming NXT vs TNA Showdown TV special, which will additionally feature former WWE veterans The Hardys, putting their TNA World Tag Team titles on the line against Dark State in a winner-takes-all tag team title match, where one of the teams will leave as both the TNA World Tag Team Champions and the NXT Tag Team Champions as well. But there you go, guys. Latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right-hand corner. As you can see right there, we are less than 500 subscribers to go until 25,000. Our goal is to hit 25k in 2025. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Really appreciate everyone's support. Appreciate everyone for tuning in, as always, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.